Am I the a-hole for not going by my dad's because he always sides with his girlfriend and her daughter? My parents split custody. It's pretty random. Some days I'm home and sometimes I'm by my dad. I'm 15 female. Dad started dating Jane a while ago. Maybe a year. She has a daughter, Mandy, that's 12 or 13, I think. Then they started spending a lot of time at my dad's. They have their own apartment, but they're still always by him. The first time they stayed over when I was there and somehow Mandy ended up in my bed. Her mom has this cot/bed thing she brought to my dad's for her. But somehow I woke up in the middle of the night and she was in my bed. I kicked her out. Then my dad and Jane said that was mean, and I have a fool anyway, so I should share. There's other stuff. I have a chair in my dad's living room I got as a gift. It's comfy, and when I move out, it'll go with me. Well, Mandy always wants to race for the chair. Even when I win the race, my dad makes me let her sit in it because they're guests. So I ended up sitting on the floor because my dad has a recliner, and Jane lays across the couch. So I stay in my room instead. My dad's tried getting me to come out there by them, but why would I have to sit on the floor like a dog? He keeps saying I'm being a difficult teenager, but that's not it though. One time my mom and I went and did some stuff before she dropped me off. She had bought me a blanket that had my favorite team's logo on it. I was excited to sleep with it. Stupid, I know. So she let me take it to my dad's. My dad made me share it with Mandy because it wasn't fair that I got something and Mandy didn't. It's not just the blanket it's happened with. It's anything that I have to share. But if Mandy has something I'd like to use, it tells me it's hers, and if she doesn't want to let me, she doesn't have to. One time Mandy was reading one of my books, and Jane and my dad started fighting. Jane wanted to leave, so Mandy wanted to take my book. But I said no, so she wouldn't leave. My dad yelled at me to just let her have it. They made up, so I got it back, but if they didn't, I would have lost one of my favorite books. My dad and I had plans to go ice fishing. Just him and I, something we've done since I was 7. Well, he brought Jane and Mandy along. All they did was complain. It's too cold. Fish are gross. This is boring. So we left early and he just said, sometimes you have to compromise. When I got home, I was mad. My mom was annoyed and called him and they argued. And he talked to me and repeated his compromising BS. I was supposed to go back to him a few days later, but I decided I didn't want to. I never even spent time with just him anymore anyway, so what's the point in going there? I told my mom, she said it was my choice. So I told him, and he said, I'm just used to being an only child and I can't be spoiled my whole life, and that I can't run away whenever there's a problem. Well, since then, his family is trying to get me to go back too. Am I the a-hole for not visiting my dad anymore? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad is failing you as a parent. Go back, with your mom waiting, and pack up everything important item you have at your dad's so that Mandy can't get her grubby little hands on your stuff. That's what my mom wants to do too. Right now, he's holding my Switch and saying I'll only get it back when I come over to talk things out. He didn't buy it either. I did. Your father is displaying absolutely disgusting behavior. I am so sorry for you. You shouldn't have to deal with this. Would you be open to going over to talk? To make it seem like you're cooperating so you can get your stuff back. Like go over, talk, get the Switch back, and suddenly pack any other important item that he could hold over you. Then get your mom to pick you up. Huh, no. I'm sure it'd include Jane and Mandy in that talk. Similar stuff has happened before this. He blames me because my cousins don't like Mandy because I don't like her, so they won't either. He has had talks with me before with them literally right there. I can't tell him that I don't want them around when they are right there, as that's kinda rude. If I were you, I'd insist that if they're present, your mom is too. You need a grown advocate who will call out adults on their BS, so that your perspective isn't trampled over as just being a difficult teen. I like this idea. Thanks. Not the a-hole at all. Your dad is prioritizing his new girlfriend and her daughter over your needs and wants. Mandy wants something, she gets it. Your chair, Mandy gets it. Your book, Mandy gets it. Your new blanket, Mandy gets it. Your dad and Jane enable the behavior, and your dad's choices have shown you he doesn't prioritize your relationship with him. I wouldn't want to go somewhere where I am made to feel like a second-class citizen. When your dad asks why you don't want to go over anymore, send him exactly what you have written here. I am so glad your mom supports you and stands up for you. Best of luck, OP. This was my situation with my dad and his wife and her daughter. My dad's wife had made it so bad that 15 years later I have no relationship with him. I couldn't even make a sandwich without having to give it to my stepsister. Run, kid. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepsister that we're not friends and putting my mom in a catch-22? My 17 female mom moved her fiancé in last year. Not really a fan of the guy, but my dad lives overseas, and my mom cried and kicked up a fuss when I floated the idea of going to live with him. So she promised that if I stayed, my stepdad would have no say over me, and I just had to be polite. Fair. He has 2 daughters, May 17 female and June 15 female. June is fine, we vibe. May's in my grade at school, and the best way to describe her is you'd grown a little if you were told to do a group project with her. She's awkward, not very good in school, and really sensitive about everything. She doesn't have any friends that I know of. So when our parents started talking marriage, May latched onto me like a freaking lamprey, and I can't seem to get her off my back. Before they moved in, I could mostly avoid her at school. She's in lower level classes than me. She kept trying to add and message me on SM, and I just didn't respond. Now that they've moved in, she's just always there, trying to be involved with everything I do, talking my ear off and getting it away. I train a lot every day for my sports, and since she's not in a very good shape, the parents suggested she go to the gym with me since she expressed an interest. She pestered me the whole time about how to use the equipment and was totally worn out and ready to go when I was only a fourth the way done. I finally had it last weekend when I had a friend over after training to game for a bit, and May invited herself into my room with us without asking. I told her we didn't invite her to hang out and to leave, that she was being rude. She started crying and complained to her dad, who came in and told us to let her play. I reminded him that he can't tell me to do anything for my mom, and to take it up with her, which pissed him off. Later, we all had heavy talk and he said I was bullying May, but I told him that May is the one who inserts herself where she's not invited nor wanted. She's not my friend and she's not going to be, so I'd rather she butt out for the few months left until I leave home. My mom is upset because she's in the middle, and stepdad is making noises about breaking up if she doesn't discipline me. I've told her if she caves, I'm not coming back here while he lives here once I'm out. May has been being a drama queen and crying about it to the point that even June told her to shut up. My mom says May is just sensitive and lonely, but I don't see how that's my problem to fix. Not the a-hole. None of these problems are yours to fix. The fiancé father threatening to break up is between your mom and him. If he is this upset that he can't boss you around, that should be a red flag to your mom. How he treats you is what you need to be concerned about, and he overstepped a boundary here. You did right by you to point that out. Could you be more friendly to May? Yes. But you don't find her interesting and she's inserting herself into your life. She's desperate, clearly. And yes, her problems stem from the parenting she received, so she is just coping as best she can. As someone who has shaken the weird girls off of me in school, I've grown up to regret it. I was harsh for superficial reasons. They didn't fit into social hierarchies in school, and I didn't want to taint my image with my peers by hanging out with the social rejects. And I watched these girls shut themselves off from the world entirely after it became clear I didn't want to be their friend. Ultimately, it is not my fault nor responsibility, but I do wish I could go back in time and act a little differently, more compassionately for their sake. You don't owe it to her to be her best friend, but you do owe it to her to treat her with dignity. Just don't do or say anything you might regret. As someone who has shaken the weird girls off of me in school, I've grown up to regret it. I was harsh for superficial reasons. Flip side is both someone who was a weird girl and also befriended a lot of weird girls and guys. Even when I didn't jive with them, I regretted it. It takes a lot of energy to essentially teach someone how to be around other people. And no matter what you do, you end up looking like a bully when you eventually need to establish boundaries. People encourage you to befriend and help them get along more with others, but will turn around and accuse you of being toxic or trying to kill their individuality the moment you suggest certain behaviors, or detriment to making friends. This girl is already boundary stomping when OP is making it clear they're not friends and that she doesn't want to be around her. It would be even worse if she tried to pretend they got along. Better to establish the need for space right off the bat and clearly so that there was a chance of civility, rather than Opie never getting a chance to breathe again without there being waterworks. Next story is titled, Am I the A-hole for asking my in-laws to choose between me and a daughter they never had? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 38 male, for 9 years, and I have a long history of conflict with a woman named Sally, who used to be my husband's best friend. The trouble started right after my husband and I started dating. He had a best friend, let's call her Sally, who he now realizes he had an inappropriate relationship with. I got hateful messages after we started dating about how I stole him from her and how toxic I was. The next conflict was a couple of years later. She separated from her husband and turned to my husband for comfort. In the end, I found out after we moved back to the area, she was lying to us about everything she said happened that ended her marriage, and I confronted her saying I didn't appreciate being lied to. Sally started telling people that I was in love with her ex-husband, and that is why I took his side with everything. That was the final straw for me. I went to mother-in-law and put down a boundary that I wanted no contact with Sally. Eventually, after about a year of minimal contact had passed, my mother-in-law started pressuring me to let things go and start attending family functions again when Sally was going to be there. I told my mother-in-law that I would be willing to attend events where Sally was likely to be, but I would not socialize with Sally. As soon as that happened, I can only assume my mother-in-law told Sally about the change, because she started reaching out to my husband saying, I miss our friendship that we used to have. Recently, I received an anonymous email saying some really harsh things. I assumed this was some random person trolling me, but we looked up the IP address and it came from the area Sally lives. The email referenced my private Facebook group, my first and middle name, and was from her area. She is the only person who I have ever had this kind of a hateful situation with, so I can only assume it was from her. I decided to have a conversation with my mother-in-law and father-in-law about going zero contact with Sally, not even accidental contact, and it went terribly. It ended up with us basically telling my in-laws that they needed to decide who they wanted at a family function and tell the other party that they could not come. My mother-in-law insisted again that she wished my husband could just be friends with Sally again even if I wanted to stay away from her, and that it would fix all the problems that has been happening. I reminded her again about all the things Sally had said to me, and the mother-in-law said she still didn't believe it was true, and kept saying Sally's like a daughter to us. She is family, and she would never do those things. My father-in-law refuses to even participate in these conversations. He just gets up and walks away because he refuses to hear a bad word about Sally. I am left wondering, am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Time for some hard boundaries with your in-laws. Info. Where is your husband in all of this? He likes to avoid conflict, so for a long time he was staying out of it. But ever since she tried to start a rumor about me being in love with her ex-husband, he is done with her. I had to cut that out to make the post short enough. From what I understand is that Sally's connection to the family is your husband, and since he doesn't want any type of relationship with her, why is she still invited to any family function? It would be a different situation if the mother-in-law invites her one-on-one, but why keep inviting her to family events and make her own son and his wife uncomfortable? Her parents are my in-laws' best friends, and she grew up being close to their family. I grew up close to the family too, but because of our age difference, it wasn't as close as Sally's since she was besties with my husband for so long. She calls them her second parents, and they say she's like their daughter. Sounds like you're up against not just one relationship, but 3. Safe to assume that your in-laws fear that if they set a single boundary with Sally, they'll risk losing her and her parents/their best friends. People they've known a lot longer than they've known you. You're right to die on this hill, but understand what you're asking of them and temper your expectations accordingly. This may result in them sacrificing both you and your husband to keep the peace with Sally's family. That's a good point, but not one I have considered. Thank you for commenting. It helps me look at things from all angles. Last story. Am I the a-hole for defending my grandmother's decision to put me in her will and life insurance as main beneficiary? I, 30 female, have always been really close to my grandma. Even when my aunts and cousins lived with her, we would spend time together, just the two of us. Originally, it was because my own mother, her daughter, was very neglectful of me. But as I got older, we both realized we had a lot in common. I got emancipated at 16, and my grandma was my biggest supporter. As soon as I was able to, I returned the favor and helped her out with whatever she needed. Grocery shopping, yard work, deep cleaning her house. She has very poor eyesight, so can't drive. And after my grandpa died, she needed help. None of my family, aunt, her kids, uncle and his kids, mom and my younger sibling, stepped up. My grandma recently got into an accident. She needed surgery and almost died. Now that she's home and doing better, albeit needs more help than before, she decided to update her will. Originally, the will had half of her money and assets being split between her 3 children, and other half split between me, my sibling, and my 4 cousins. She changed it to me and my children receiving about 80%, and the rest of the family splitting the remaining 20%. Obviously, my family's pissed. My mom and me just recently started repairing our relationship, and now she's refusing to talk to me. My aunt calls me daily and accuses me of manipulating a frail old woman, and even went as far as making a report to Adult Protective Services, saying I'm stealing. I defend myself, saying Grandma changed her will and life insurance while of sound mind, and that is her choice. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I wanted to add, I recently got a settlement of child support from my bio father, and my family thinks that I stole that money from my mother. And both this situation and that one proves that I'm manipulating my family for money. I got the child support instead of my mother because I was neglected, and then in and out of foster care before getting emancipated. Grandma was the only person who advocated for me, but couldn't take me in as a child because of her health. Not day home. It's clear why she has changed her will. These people are just entitled and greedy. Agreed, not stay home. Maybe your grandma could talk to a lawyer and write something about why she chose to leave that amount to you. Not stay home. The child support was always going to be for you being the child in question. Your grandmother will do what she wants. They might contest the will later, but there's nothing you can do about that. I wouldn't argue with them or engage in any kind of discussion with them over this. Talking with them about it at this point can only work against you. Not stay home. She's an adult of sound mind, like you say. You've also worked hard on helping her, and it sounds like you've done that for years. Your mother wants a big payout without doing any of the help. Your grandma isn't letting her get away with that. You haven't done anything wrong, so you're not stay home. My grandma was going to cut my mom out completely, but feels guilty because she feels responsible for how my mom turned out since she raised her. Leaving a small amount for the rest of the family is a smart move. If she left nothing, they could contest it. Enjoy your time with your grandma and cut everything else off. They sound abusive and toxic.